Media has been, whining now for the last few months that Donald Trump, he's a mean dude and he's trying to subvert the First Amendment and he's going to put them all in dungeons. And I'll tell you, you know, what a group of terribly self-absorbed people. But as I think we've come to learn over the course of the last few months, if you didn't already know it, your buddies in mainstream media are just nothing but fellow travelers and the propaganda wing of the Democrat Party, specifically the New York Times, which has a story out trying to tie Attorney General Jeff Sessions, that's our national Attorney General, as opposed to our state Attorney General. He's the highest law enforcement officer in the land. They're trying to tie him because media, along with the rest of its fellow Democrats, can't believe that Hillary Clinton lost this election fair and square. So they've been trying to blame either James Comey or the Russians or bed bugs. They keep throwing something out there. Well, the Russian story, they keep hammering away at, even though they have very little evidence to back that up. Now they're saying, Jeff Sessions actually met with the Russian ambassador twice last year. So there's evidence of collusion. Here's the thing. Jeff Sessions wasn't officially working for the Trump campaign. Like a lot of Republicans, if somebody called up and said, we need somebody to talk about the campaign on Fox tonight or CNN tonight or over at MSDNC, they'd say, well, gee, I don't know. We don't have a lot of people available. They're tied up. So we've got some friends over in the U.S. Senate. Jeff Sessions, he'll do it. So he became a campaign surrogate, but he wasn't on, he's not a paid member of the Trump campaign apparatus, which there was very little of, we should point out. On the other hand, Sessions had a job at the time serving in the U.S. Senate on the Foreign Relations Committee. And if you're on the Foreign Relations Committee, that means you deal a lot with foreign leaders and representatives of foreign governments. Jeff Sessions was giving a speech at the Heritage Foundation last year. And as he came off the stage, he stopped and greeted some of the people in the audience, including, get this, the ambassador from Russia. Yes, indeed, it happened. And they exchanged a few pleasantries. Unbeknownst to Jeff Sessions, there was a mole from the Obama White House taking notes and reported back to the Obama team that Jeff Sessions had met with the ambassador from Russia. Yes, they exchanged a few pleasantries as Sessions was leaving the hall after the Heritage Foundation event. Then later, as the Foreign Relations Committee was looking into the Russia has an issue with its Ukrainian neighbors. So as the Foreign Relations Committee was looking into the details, the ambassador came over to Capitol Hill, and he dropped by and had a conversation with all of the members of the Foreign Relations Committee, including then U.S. Senator Jeff Sessions. Sessions, at his confirmation hearing to become Attorney General, was questioned about any involvement with the Russians by, of all people, Al Franken, who we're supposed to take seriously. He's a Democrat from Minnesota, played Stuart Smalley on TV. Once, by the way, when I was in college, he nearly got some of my friends thrown out of their dormitory because Al Franken and his buddy then Davis, that they called themselves Franken and Davis. They were a comedy duo. They showed up at a party that some of my friends were throwing, and they started smoking cigar-sized joints. That is marijuana. And somebody from the dorm director, I guess, showed up to demand what was going on and then got intimidated by seeing these two well-known comedians and left. But my buddies were not happy that these two guys had whipped out. So this is the very responsible Democrat from Minnesota now serving in the U.S. Senate. And he asked Sessions at the time if he had had any opportunities for collusion with the Russians.
I'm not aware of any of those activities. I have been called a surrogate at a time or two in that campaign, and I did not have communications with the Russians, and I'm unable to comment on it.
So at the time, Sessions was saying, I wasn't, working for the campaign specifically. And I did not have, what he's saying is he didn't have any contact with the Russians as a member of the Trump campaign. Senator Sessions, on the other hand, because of his job, yes, he did have contact with the Russian ambassador. Can we note as well, it's not illegal for Americans to talk to foreigners. Sometimes I do it myself. I've seen him a couple of times. I've been to Not that I spend a lot of time at the post office, but there's a tall young African man. I've run into him a couple of times at the post office, and as we stand in line, we chat. But it's not illegal for me to talk with him while he's there. And I've gone to Canada sometimes, and I've talked to people in restaurants, and I've talked to people on the streets and in museums. It's not illegal to do it. So let's disabuse ourselves of this. Meanwhile, Lindsey Graham, Republican, but he's looking to destroy Donald Trump. Lindsey Graham, of course, was destroyed by Trump when Graham thought he actually had a shot at being the president of the United States during the primary season. Lindsey Graham, you can just tell Graham is salivating over the prospect that this could help bring down Trump as he speaks to a television reporter last night.
If there is something there and it goes up the chain of investigation, it is clear to me that Jeff Sessions, who is my dear friend, cannot make this decision about Trump. So there may be nothing there, but if there's something there that the FBI believes is criminal in nature, then for sure you need a special prosecutor. If that day ever comes, I'll be the first one to say it needs to be somebody other than Jeff.
And I can finally get back at Donald Trump. And my boyfriend from Arizona is here too.
I think we have to know more about it before we can make a judgment.
John McCain, the potentially treasonous John McCain, who last week, was it 2 weeks ago, he went over to Europe to a conference and knifed his president in the back, a member of his own party. Yeah, like this guy is in any position to sit here and pass judgment on people who are cross-tabling with other countries. 8:50 now. Bill Cowley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. We're at, 27. The weather is going to be getting warmer, but it may be a little bit of a leap to say it's going to get a lot warmer over the next week to 10 days, but we'll melt most of the ice and snow away. Telephone number to reach the show, 736-0300, 736-0300. Bill Cowley with you this morning on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Have a caller with us. Caller, you're up next. You're on the air.
Hi, Bill. Every day the shame stream media and the Dems get together and come up with a stink bomb of the day to hit the conservatives with. Kellyanne Conway and the Trump's people should call the media executioners to the White House and have President Trump show his school and passport records and ask them why they never went after Obama's records when he was Barry Soetoro. And then Trump should say, I've always been Donald Trump.
Thank you for the call. Yes, he has. And Mr. Obama, who was caught on an open mic telling one of Russia's leaders, Medvedev, a few years ago that, hey, I got to talk tough about you guys, but, when I get reelected, I'll be able to do whatever I please, and I'll ensure that I give my country to you. Yeah. I understand you all used to be communists. Well, I am too. We can have a great friendship. But nobody at the time said, we ought to look into what Mr. Obama's up to with the Russians after that comment. Or when he was campaigning way back in 2008, and he was going around the country saying he would dismantle NAFTA, until a Canadian official came forward and said, hey, Mr. Obama's been on the telephone with us. He's been saying to us, don't worry, I'm lying. I'm not really going to do it. I just need to win. So I'm making false promises to liberal Democrats and labor leaders so that I can win. But when I'm done, then I'm going to ensure NAFTA stays. Again, nobody raised any questions about that. But then again, he was a fellow traveler. Media is dominated by fellow travelers. Our caller referenced Kellyanne Conway. The media had a fit the other day because Conway, while she was getting ready to take a picture in the Oval Office, had her feet up on the couch. Ooh, boy, they should come to my house. Well, I guess I can still call it a couch. Tucker's Claws have done a number on it. But I've fallen asleep on that couch, and sometimes when I fall asleep, you fall asleep with your mouth open, and by the time you get up, you drool all over it. That's what happens. But Kellyanne Conway was on the couch with her feet folded up underneath her as she was getting ready to take this picture. Now, my friends, can I just tell you something here? What's the worry about this? It's Trump's couch. He can clean it if he likes. It's not your business. A congressman who's a Democrat from Louisiana. He made a statement yesterday while he was doing a presentation. He's a liberal, black Democrat, I should point out, and said, we shouldn't be surprised. He said, as I understand it, Kellyanne Conway's on her knees a lot. Can you imagine if a white Republican any Republican had said something like that? He would be forced to walk the plank. But you know how this works. Well, he's a fellow traveler, and, as a black person, we can't, as an African American, a person of color, obviously he's a victim, so we can't take him to task for what he said about, what he's implying about Kellyanne Conway. Yes, but Donald Trump, on the other hand, called Rosie O'Donnell a fat pig. He needs to apologize. He hasn't done it yet. He needs to apologize immediately. But this guy is implying that Kellyanne Conway is on her knees performing some sort of act. That's okay. That's simply, we wouldn't want to upset him because, as a black person, he should be allowed to say whatever he likes. That can be part of his reparations payment. I wanted to thank some friends who were in studio with us yesterday. We had both Russell Smith and Robert Moore who dropped by, and they were talking about a project that they've been involved in. It's a high-end renovation of what's going to be a private lodge for friends and relatives and guests of the artist, Mr. Moore. And we got a chance to delve into the work that they do and how you could also have one of these high-end renovations done if you have a historic home or even a new home or you have a business. We can have Western Visions work with you to actually get this job done. And we're talking about the type of work that when the project's finished, people will walk in and they will look at your home or business and just the wow factor will overwhelm them. And I wanted to say thank you because they drove over from Cassia County yesterday to spend some time with us on the air. And I can't wait to go out and see when the lodge is finished what that project looks like, because I saw some of the updated photographs yesterday. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work they're doing. And we mentioned the LED lighting and how they're going to have some of the artwork on the walls and special lighting for that. All of this is done by these craftsmen who work, and craftswomen, I should add too, with Western Visions, Inc. And if you'd like to know more, we had recommended look at the website, western-visions.com. That's western-visions.com. And I'll tell you what, you take one look at that, you may be making that phone call today. 8:56 now, Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. One other note, as long as the media is working as a propaganda wing, the New York Times story, because the way it's written doesn't really point this out, but it's apparent that the White House under Barack Obama literally was trying to undermine Donald Trump before he came into office, and was essentially these figurative landmines were being set to slow and subvert the Trump administration. The liberals are so angry about losing, they would destroy the country in order to stop Trump. The Times won't say that in its story, but I think it's obvious what was going on there. And the other day when Trump was criticized because he said that the Obama White House was interfering with his administration, here's the evidence. There it is. This is exactly what he was talking about. They've got nothing, however, to bring this administration down. They've got nothing. And we keep hearing, there's more details to come. The other shoe's going to drop. Look, if they've got all of this, the other shoe would have dropped a few weeks ago. Bill Colley with you this morning. One more hour of Top Story ahead. I do want to share with you coming up in the next hour, we may have an opportunity, as I say may because she had a committee meeting coming up. State Representative Christy Zitto got in touch with me yesterday and said, if you've got some time, she said, I've got a few things I'd like to review about legislative session. The interesting part of this is her first term. So she's I won't call her a rookie, but she's a freshman legislator. And obviously she's learning a lot about how government works, and maybe not all of it good. She's going to try and join us about 9:30 this morning, right here on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Bill Colley with you today. It's 26, on our way probably into the upper 30s today.